Hello, this is Fletcher from San Francisco Suicide Prevention. We're here with yet another referral video. Tonight's referral video is with Robin Ehrlich, who's a current volunteer at San Francisco Suicide Prevention, and she's here to tell us a little bit about the Huckleberry House. Hello, Robin.
Hi, Fletcher. Thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. What is the Huckleberry House?
So, Huckleberry Youth Programs is a organization that provides a lot of services to youth and families. They target four main areas, which would be health, safety, education, and justice. And they're they started as the first crisis shelter in San Francisco for runaway youth back in 1967, when it was actually illegal to leave home without your parents' permission. And so, at the time, kids on the streets, they would have to be taken into the juvenile justice system. And Huckleberry Crisis Center started as a place for those youth to go as an alternative to get some services, counseling, and ultimately with the goal to reconvene with their families and help them move along their lives. And over the last 50 years, they have expanded their program to have healthcare, a lot of educational support for schools. They mostly work with students between ages 11 and 17. They have a program called HEART that works with trafficked youth. They really just do a lot in San Francisco.
They do pretty much everything.
They do it all, yeah.
What would it look like for someone to actually go to the Huckleberry House? Like, what would the experience be of becoming eligible, and what would it be like being there?
So for the Huckleberry Crisis Shelter, which is what they're most known for, you basically have to be a youth between the ages of 11 and 17 and be in some kind of an acute crisis or even just need a break. They don't turn anybody away. Their shelter is open 24 hours, and they have a 24-hour teen hotline where you can call if you have any questions about if it's appropriate to go or not. But, an adolescent could bring themselves. A parent could call and say, hey, I need some help with my child. People might come in through their HEART program for trafficked youth, or they might come in through the juvenile justice system, if they were arrested and couldn't go back home for some reason.
Okay. So you can go there in pretty much all variety of ways. You can call them and ask them, you can go there with a parent, you can go there alone, you can go there through the social justice system. Cool. So you can pretty much do everything with Huckleberry House. Do you have any personal experience or personal anecdotes that you'd like to share about the Huckleberry House?
Yeah. So I actually stayed there for 2 weeks when I was 15. And I was brought against my will and very quickly changed my opinion of the place. I remember being dropped off when I was having some difficulties with my family. Being in a kind of new and unknown environment, and they immediately brought me back to the kitchen where other people were staying in the house, other peers my age, making dinner together. And they brought me right on back. I'm sure I was red-faced and crying at the time, but they just brought me right on back, had me start helping to cook dinner, and I got acquainted with everybody. We sat down, we had a meal. Afterward, I went and sat with one of the counselors, and through my stay, they checked in with my family, they checked in with the school, they gave me an allowance. They really treat you like a part of the family, and so my experience there was extremely positive. I think it was kind of life-changing for me, actually. And so I've gone back since and approached them about joining their board of directors, which I'll be doing shortly. So that's really exciting.
Well, congratulations, Robin.
Thank you.
When should the Huckleberry House be used as a referral at San Francisco Suicide Prevention?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I've used Huckleberry House as a referral twice, actually. I think it's a great referral for any iffy cases of domestic violence or potential cases of child abuse where youth services are not really helping out, or where they've already engaged with child protective services, and you kind of get that gray zone where, you know, you're concerned about abuse, or you're concerned about some difficulties at home. Maybe the parent or the child who has called you has been hinting toward it, but they're not at the stage where they want to separate, and they're in an acute crisis. They're worried that being at home, things are going to escalate. Maybe the child is having some suicidal ideation around a conflict at home. Maybe one of the parents are, and they don't know how to support their child. That's when to reach out to Huckleberry House. They have excellent counselors. They'll take you in. It's not a traumatic process. It doesn't mean that they'll be separated from their children forever. It just gives everybody a break. You can stay there from a day to several weeks if necessary, and it's really hands-on, and they're trying to reunite the families and support all of the individuals at the same time.
So it seems like there's a lot of circumstances when a Huckleberry House should be used as a referral, when it's very appropriate, and all these different times when it can be used. Is there any a time when the Huckleberry House is an inappropriate referral to use? Is it just the age restriction, or are there other restrictions?
I would say it's just the age restriction. I would say it's between 11 and 17. And even then, they're such a welcoming organization that if, you know, the kid was 10 or 18, they still might be able to incorporate them temporarily at their house. I guess I would say if you're potentially dealing with a caller in a very high-risk situation where they might need emergency medical care, you know, that obviously takes priority, and you wouldn't, you know, reach out to the shelter right away. But other than that, they really don't turn people away, and they can be as hands-on or off. And so I can't really think of a time where it would be inappropriate for a family to contact them with some questions.
Perfect. So it's the age restriction and then the immediate risk of their personal health and safety to themselves and others. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about the Huckleberry House?
Yeah, I guess I don't have as much personal experience with the other aspects of their program, since I have mostly been involved with their crisis shelter, but they also do have health advocacy and educational programs. And I've talked to some families on the phone who, you know, were dealing with some distress around their, you know, teenage students getting to college or getting some career help and not being able to support their students in that process. So I think that would be another time that, you know, it might be a valuable referral if the parents were needing some, or the students themselves were needing some college or career support. The other thing would be the health aspect of the program. They do a lot of health education, and so I would think that it could be an appropriate referral. Also, I haven't used it as such, it hasn't come up, but, you know, for somebody between those ages who has questions about HIV or sexually transmitted diseases, that's another place you can send them to get further kind of hands-on support and ongoing education.
So the Huckleberry House is an across-the-board youth support service in San Francisco.
Absolutely, yep. 50 years running strong.
Oh my gosh. Well, there you have it. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, Robin. There you have it, the Huckleberry House.
Huckleberry